Chapter 31. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Zhang Peipei patted Gu Qiaoyue's hand and sighed silently. It's not easy for divorced women to take their children. Zhang Peipei doesn't want others to gossip about her daughter. She secretly decided that next time the old family came again, she would not let her daughter rush in front and let those people say. She will teach the old family a lesson before her daughter does it. Gu Qiaoyue didn't expect that Zhang Peipei was stronger because of her actions today. After meeting the old family, Zhang Peipei can always do more crazy than her. When someone gossips, she won't ignore things and calm down like before. The whole person has become tough. Being a mother is strong, especially for divorced women with children alone. In the evening, after dinner, driven by Gu Qiaoyue, the family discussed opening a shop, discussing what food to eat and whether to sell other pasta and fried vegetables. No one mentioned the old Gu family again. At the moment, the old family has made a mess. Old Lady Gu fainted. Gu Changsheng was beaten and his head bled. Li Lingling let her eldest son ride a bike to find the barefoot doctor in the village. Wrapped Gu Changsheng's head and gave Gu Laotai a needle. When Granny Gu woke up, the first thing was to scold Zhang Peipei and Gu Qiaoyue. All from the same village. The doctor also knew what the old Gu family did. He despised it in his heart, but he didn't say anything. Just got sick, took the money and left. After the doctor left, the family gathered around to scold Gu Qiaoyue and Zhang Peipei. Even Wu Honglian and Zhang Jingqi didn't escape being scolded. Gu Changsheng didn't speak. He felt the gauze wrapped on his head, his eyes were cruel and thought about something alone. After a while, he suddenly said. Grandma, Mom, Aunt, I have an idea. I can not only rob Gu Qiaoyue's cold skin business, but also in addition to Gu Qiaoyue's bitch. As soon as Gu Changsheng's words came out, the old Gu family stopped swearing just now. Wei Meiqi asked quickly. Son, what's your idea? Granny Gu and Li Lingling both looked at Gu Changsheng. Gu Changsheng looked at other young people in his family and said to his brother Gu Xingli. Victory, go out with Winnie and Pengfei. Then she looked at Wei Meiqi. Wei Meiqi took out 50 cents and gave it to Gu Xingli. Go and take your brother and sister out to buy sugar. Your grandmother just woke up and can't disturb her. In addition to Gu Pengfei, the other three knew that adults had something to say. Although they wanted to hear it, they still went out step by step. There are only old Lady Gu, two daughters. In Law and Gu Changsheng left in the room. Mom, do you remember Zhang Yang? Wei Meiqi frowned and said, You're talking about the classmate looking for you today. Yes, it's him. He has a crush on Gu Qiaoyue. Gu Changsheng said coldly. The people in the room were stunned and didn't know why. What does this have to do with dealing with Gu Qiaoyue's dead girl? Gu Changsheng sneered and then said. Oh. I know Zhang Yang. He eats in the bowl and looks at the pot. Moreover, his family has money. We help him get Gu Qiaoyue and let Gu Qiaoyue marry Zhang Yang, so we can receive a bride price. Zhang Peipei's family, Gu Qiaoyue is more powerful. We take Gu Qiaoyue away, leaving only Zhang Peipei and Gu Qiaowan. At that time, we'll find Gu Qiaowan's mother. In Law and collect a bride price. Can this be done? Li Lingling frowned and always felt that it was unreliable. Zhang Peipei and Gu Daong are divorced. Gu Qiaoyue's marriage is not up to them. Gu Changsheng's eyes cooled down. It will be possible. When Gu Qiaoyue is not at home, our family also goes to the county to sell lianpi in Rugamo, squeezing their business. Then we will take the opportunity to send Gu Qiaoyue to Zhang Yang's bed. When something like this happens, Zhang Peipei is in a mess. He must not care about the bride price. No one knows that we received Zhang Yang's bride price. While they are in a mess, we can grab all the business of Lianpi and Rujiamo and drive Zhang Peipei back to his mother's house. At that time, the 3 rooms will also be ours. Gu Qiaoyue, that bitch dares to beat him. He will let her know how powerful he is. Isn't that cheap, Gu Qiaoyue's dead girl? Li Lingling's eyes flickered and said that his daughter is 17, the same age as Gu Qiaoyue. If there is a good object, there is no need to be cheap. Gu Qiaoyue's dead girl. Gu Changxing sneered, and Zhang Yang, I still know that his family is rich, but his mother is a tigress, and she despises the poor and women who don't love herself. Gu Qiaoyue and his son cooked rice and were seen by so many people. Their family had to marry Gu Qiaoyue. Think about how angry Zhang Yang's mother should be. Gu Qiaoyue can have a better life after she gets married. Moreover, Zhang Yang has always liked to change when he sees different things. He can't walk when he sees a woman. He's only 20 years old and has changed 5 girlfriends. Hearing Gu Changxing say so, Li Lingling, who had some thoughts, turned her lips. This is better left to Gu Qiaoyue's dead girl. Wei Meiqi's eyes glowed green when she heard it. Zhang Peipei's cold skin business. She can see clearly today. She can earn at least dozens of yuan a day. At that time, it will all belong to her own family. Delicious and spicy Wei Meiqi became more and more excited, but she soon thought of another person. Gu Qiaoyue's dead girl recognized her brother and was still the general manager of a large enterprise. It seemed to protect Gu Qiaoyue's dead girl. Li Lingling and old lady Gu frowned. On that day, Gu Deong had told them that the general manager was indeed a big official. He said that he seemed to have temporary posts in the government. They could not afford to offend such people. Gu Changxing sneered and said, Grandma, Mom, Aunt, you want to fork it out. We haven't done anything. Gu Qiaoyue and Zhang Yangqing are willing to cook cooked rice. What does this have to do with us? As for the cold skin business. If Zhang Peipei can sell it, we can't sell it. We'll sell it tomorrow. Several people didn't speak and thought carefully. Gu Lao Tai said, yes, I am the girl's grandmother. I has the final say in her marriage. The betrothal money is not a small amount. The 2 dead girls of Zhang Peipei are dignified enough to speak of a good family. Whether it's Gu Qiaoyue's betrothal money, she has to get it, as well as Gu Qiaowan's dead girl's betrothal money. Lao Gu's family has raised them for more than 10 years, but they are not for nothing. Mrs. Gu thought and sneered. At her age, the wrinkles on her face were so deep that she could kill flies. This smile looked very penetrating. Chapter 32 You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old family said they would do it. The next day they began to be busy at home, baking cakes and steaming cold skins. Mrs. Gu gave Gu Changxing more than 10 yuan and asked him to talk to Zhang Yang in the county town these 2 days. Be sure to find out if he has a crush on Gu Qiaoyue's dead girl. It's better to find out how many betrothal gifts Gu Qiaoyue can get if she marries him. The old Gu family is calculating and cruel enough. On the first day, he baked more than 200 cakes, steamed more than 100 cold skins and went to the county town early in the morning. Mrs. Gu was worried about her 2 daughters-in-law and went with her. In order to prevent Gu Qiaoyue from beating them crazy again, he took 3 grandchildren and followed them with sticks. Since Gu Qiaoyue's family had a tricycle, they didn't have to hurry too early. They didn't start until dawn. When I went to the place, the old family took up their booth and was shouting at the moment. Gu Qiaoyue narrowed her eyes as she listened to their cries. I've seen shameless. I've never seen such shameless. They are so shameless. Zhang Peipei's angry eyes were red. They finally found a way to earn money. Now they were robbed by the old family. He Zuanfang gnashed his teeth in anger and wanted to lift the old Gu's stall. Zhang Hosheng rolled up his sleeve and was about to rush up. Deceive people too much. I'll teach them a lesson. Gu Qiaoyue grabbed him and sneered. They like to sell. Just let them sell. We'll set up a stall here. Moon. Zhang Peipei called out suspiciously. She didn't expect that Gu Qiaoyue, who had always seen the old Gu family rushing in front, would suddenly let them go, with disapproval in her eyes. Mom, uncle, Bok's son, don't worry, they can't buy it for long. If the estimation is correct, according to the black heart of the old family, there must be no less preparation. The more you prepare, the harder you will pay. Just let them sing for a while. Their cold skin and rujiamo are the housekeeping skills of Grandma Wu Honglian. The taste is different from that made by other families, otherwise it won't sell so well. People who only occasionally come to the county to sell their own crops think about it. They come to the market every time. Rugamo is even more rugamo with wax sauce. There are dozens of spices for stewed meat alone. I don't believe his old family can make it. And cold skin, which also has an exclusive secret recipe. Even for ordinary steamed food, Zhang Peipei's cooking skills are much better than the two daughters-in-law of the old Gu family. And it didn't happen in a previous life, but what? I didn't do business for a few days and was beaten up. Zhang Peipei, Zhang Hosheng and He Tsuanfang were very confused, but they didn't say anything. They set up a stall opposite. Seeing Gu Qiaoyue's family coming, the three grandsons of the old Gu family nervously took sticks and were ready. They all know that Gu Qiaoyue is cruel. He beat his eldest brother's head in blood yesterday, which made Grandma faint. As a result, Gu Qiaoyue and others just looked at them. Without paying any attention, they set up a stall at the other end. Gu Qiaoyue's family has set up a stall here for more than half a month, and they have known people who often come to eat. As soon as I came here today, I saw another rugamo seller here. I was confused and asked. Why is there another one? Gu Qiaoyue smiled and didn't speak. Sometimes people buy from the old Gu family, but the business is not as good as that of Gu Qiaoyue. Watching Gu Qiaoyue and others keep busy and collect money, old Gu's red eyes look at them and want to drag the guests to their house. Li Lingling is not in a hurry. She also thought of this situation. After all, Gu Qiaoyue has been selling here for a long time and has familiar customers. Seeing Mrs. Gu worried, he said. Mom, don't worry. After all, they've been selling for so long. People know them. We've been selling for a long time, and we'll get better slowly. That's good. We've done so much at once. In summer, if we can't sell it out, it'll break down. Mrs. Gu is in a hurry. The pancakes are made of white flour. It's all money. It's a pity that they can't be sold out and break down. Li Lingling thought for a moment and said, why don't we reduce the price? They sell 50 cents, we sell 40 cents, and grab the guests. Wei Meiqi frowned. How much do you have to sell less? What if you can't get back? Li Lingling rolled her eyes and was speechless to her second sister.in.law. It's not the second sister.in.law. You say business is easy to do. We only do so much. Now, we can't sell it. It's hard not to let it go in Chengdu without reducing the price. Wei Meiqi quit immediately and shouted loudly. What do you mean, Li Lingling? I didn't see you when I brought back the news. You said you didn't agree. It's my fault that I can't sell it now. What have I done so long ago? Li Lingling didn't like this second sister.in.law who only knew how to quarrel and how to do things. She didn't quarrel with her and said to Mrs. Gu. Cold noodle has the final say, Mom, we just started to cut the price, and we had to sell them all without a business. We still had to sell the flapjack. We didn't have to raise the price. And now the most important thing is to squeeze their business and let them mess up. Don't forget that we still have big things. Prosperity took more than 10 yuan and worked hard at Zhongyang. Mom, we can't just look at the immediate interests, we have to look at the long-term. Li Lingling can speak and can do something. It's not. After a few words, old lady Gu is moved. Yes, they not only sell cold skins, but also squeeze. They have no business. The most important thing is the bride price. Zhang Yang's family is rich. Gu Qiaoyue's dead girl looks right. The bride price can't be more than 100 yuan. Old lady Gu bit her teeth and said, shout, reduce 1 dime for each. Wei Meiqi lost a hair at once, which hurt her heart and liver. Just reduce 5 points. Why do you reduce so much? However, Li Lingling had already called and shouted. While selling 50 cents, they sold 40 cents. People who wanted to eat cold skin and rugamo and were reluctant to give up money became more active and asked one after another. Rujiamo really sells for 40 cents. 4 cents for cold skin. 2 cents for steamed bun with vegetables. Yes, yes, would you like one? Li Lingling greeted with a smile. Wei Meiqi was busy while Mrs. Gu sat and looked at Gu Qiaoyue. Seeing a cry from his own side, Gu Qiaoyue had fewer people there and sneered proudly. Why is your meat so white? Someone asked suspiciously. He saw the marinated meat of Gu Qiaoyue's rugamo. It was dark brown and smelled like a fragrance. Wei Meiqi said, what color can the meat be? It's not all white when cooked. If there are other colors, there may be something bad. That's true. Let's have rugamo. Chapter 33. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Those who came for the price reduction sold old Gu's cold skin and rujiamo or vegetable jamo. Even the familiar customers who often buy from Gu Qiaoyue go to the old Gu's house. It's not easy to earn some money these days. Everyone wants to buy the same things cheaply. They are so mean that they should reduce the price. At this time in the past, at least half of them were sold, but today they didn't even sell a quarter. If it goes on like this, there will be a lot left today. It was all stirred up by the old family. Zhang Ho's angry eyes are red. He wants to beat them to eliminate the fire. Gu Qiaoyue smiled and said, let them jump for a while. Zhang Peipei and He Tsuanfang both looked sad. He Tsuanfang didn't expect such a thing to happen on his first day with the stall. They all doubt whether they are not suitable to come out. Zhang Peipei is worried about the pancakes and cold skins made today. If it goes on like this, it will be good if half of today's pancakes can be sold. Why don't we also reduce the price? Zhang Peipei hesitated. Gu Qiaoyue shook her head and comforted her. No, we'll do the business of workers in the factory and go around the county to sell. We can sell as much as we can. Zhang Peipei nodded helplessly. Now there is only this way. At lunchtime in the 3 nearby factories, someone came out to eat a fresh one. As soon as he came out, he saw a stall on both sides of the road. They were stunned. Someone listened and shouted for a 40 cents portion of cold skin. They all moved their hearts and went to buy one to try. After all, it was not easy to reduce the price. Seeing that even the people in the factory went to the old Gu's house, Zhang Peipei and the 3 couldn't sit still. When the 3 men from the Iron Triangle Hu factory came out, they were also stunned. While walking towards Gu Qiaoyue, he looked at it suspiciously. Girl, what's going on? When factory director Hu asked, Gu Qiaoyue told the whole story without hiding it. All 3 of Mr. Hu frowned. They didn't expect that the old family should be so shameless. Girl, it's all right. I've eaten cold skin and rujiamo sold by other families in the county. It's not as delicious as yours. Don't worry. When those people come back, they won't take advantage. Hu Chang smiled and offered him rugamo and cold skin. Lao Liang and Lao Gao too also asked for one, comforting Gu Qiaoyue's family on the side. Gu Qiaoyue said with a smile while she was busy. I'm not worried at all. What I should worry about is the old family. Factory director Hu and others were puzzled. She didn't say anything if she was comforting herself. Gu Qiaoyue was talking here, so he heard the old Gu family suddenly make trouble. What is this? It's terrible. Yes, boss, didn't my cold skin ask me to put more pepper? It's not spicy at all. It's white. What's the difference between it and what my mother.in.law does? It's better to go back and eat what my mother.in.law made for 40 cents. How did you get this meat? It tastes terrible. Isn't rugamo marinated meat? Your meat boiled in white water can also be regarded as rugamo. What's more, there's no soup. People bought rugamo in soup at the stall opposite. Don't buy it, it's terrible. It's better to go home and eat what my wife made. There are not a few people shouting. Most of them have eaten rugamo and cold skin from Gu Xiaoyue's house. They taste wrong as soon as they eat them. The people who bought it before didn't eat Gu Xiaoyue's house. They thought that Rujiamo and Liangpi were made by old Gu's house. I still wonder how so many people buy such ordinary and even some awful things every day. Now as soon as I heard them shouting, I immediately understood. It turns out that the taste of this house is not authentic. I've been cheated. Gu Xiaoyue sneered here twice and didn't speak. She knew this was the result, but she didn't expect it to happen so soon. She just thought that the taste of the old family was not authentic, and people gradually stopped buying theirs. Unexpectedly Hu Changsan, Zhang Peipei and others looked at Gu Xiaoyue at the same time. Girl, God. Yuer, how do you know they can't sell? Several people spoke at the same time. Gu Xiaoyue smiled and handed the sandwiched rugamo to the three. I ate the food they cooked when I was a child. It's very bad. Besides, rugamo and cold skin in my family are my grandmother's unique secret recipes, which others can't learn. Gu Xiaoyue is happy to watch the excitement here. There was a mess at the old Gu's house. Li Lingling apologized and said that she would improve and make better food to sell to everyone. But those people didn't buy it. Shit, you're lying. The taste of this cold skin is not as delicious as my mother.in.law. It costs me 40 cents. You're still selling it like this. Bah. What you make can be sold, and what my mother.in.law makes can also be sold. I'll lose money. I don't want you, you ugly thing. I'll lose money. The man threw the rugamo he had just bitten in front of Wei Meiqi. Wei Meiqi immediately scolded when she wanted to return the goods. I'm sorry for your mother's fart. You don't want to pay for my food. Is there any reason? Hurry up and don't make trouble here. You are the dead girl Gu Xiaoyue who came to make trouble on purpose. Old Lady Gu scolded when she heard that these troublemakers were entrusted by Gu Xiaoyue's dead girl. Gu Xiaoyue, you son of a bitch. You're going to kill your own grandmother. Zhang Peipei, you bitch, you teach my granddaughter bad. You deserve my son to divorce you, you vicious woman. You should be split by the sky. The two families were not far away. Gu Xiaoyue heard the curse of old Lady Gu clearly. Gu Xiaoyue sneered twice. It's really divine thinking. As long as it's bad, it's all done by her family. Zhang Peipei and others frowned fiercely. Even Director Hu and others were disgusted. They only felt that Zhang Peipei and his two children were pathetic yesterday. But today, it's more than pitiful. The old family care people are so unreasonable. How did they live in the past? Dead old woman, I'll kill her. Zhang Ho rushed up angrily. Just now, he had heard what He Tsuanfang said about old Gu's trouble last night. He was angry at the moment. He couldn't help scolding old Lady Gu. Gu Xiaoyue quickly grabbed Zhang Hosheng. Uncle, don't worry. We'll just watch them die. Zhang Hosheng frowned and felt that his niece's performance today could be different. Moon girl, do you have an idea? Gu Xiaoyue picked her eyebrows and smiled. No, but we'll just watch. The three of Mr. Hu's factory leaders looked at Gu Xiaoyue with a smile. They were not in a hurry to go back, so they stood here to watch the excitement. ########################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################## I hope to accompany you through the warm 2018. If you don't leave me, you won't give up. If you look back, I'm still waiting for you. Love you. Kunmi. Chapter 34. You are listening at novelfull.audio. While Gu Xiaoyue was talking, he heard a loud voice from a large circle of people around the old Gu's house. I remember. She was the one who deliberately discredited the reputation of the Lianpi landlady opposite her yesterday. Yes, I remember what you said. This woman is a bitch. She bullies people everywhere. This man is really shameless. While slandering others and damaging their reputation everywhere, he also wants to rob others' business. Bah, no wonder the things made are so bad. What delicious things can such villains make? I know. Yesterday it seemed that their family had a woman outside and came back to want to divorce their daughter. In law. They also deliberately slandered their daughter. In law for stealing. If they hadn't been there that night, maybe their plot would have succeeded and their daughter might have been forced to death. These people yelled again about their old family and what happened yesterday. Everyone looked down on the old family, pointing and scolding. The old Gu family is a wolf in the heart and a dog in the lung. Gu Daong is not a thing. This Wei Meiqi is not a thing. Look at her sour look. How can such a person do business? Can his family eat? There won't be anything unclean. Speaking of unclean things, someone turned his eyes and squatted on the ground with his stomach covered. Oh, no, I have a stomachache. It hurts so much. Call the police, I want to call the police. Go to the Public Security Bureau. If I don't return my 40 cents today, I'll go to the Public Security Bureau for evaluation. Oh, my stomachache. The people of the old family are stupid. They didn't expect to encounter such a thing when they came out to do business on the first day. It's impossible. You don't want to accuse our family. It's natural to give money for eating. Why don't you give money because it's bad? Don't buy it if you have the ability. Wei Meiqi shouted loudly and retreated in fear. Suddenly I saw 3 young people with sticks behind me, and I had confidence again. As soon as the stem of his neck came, he shouted, "Don't make trouble here. If you make trouble again, we'll beat you." Li Lingling can't help comforting people there, but she can't stand having a teammate like a pig. As soon as Wei Meiqi said this, the crowd immediately fried the pot and shouted to lose money. Li Lingling was so angry that she almost vomited blood. She couldn't help yelling. Wei Meiqi, can you grow your brain? Wei Meiqi was scolded by Li Lingling and rushed towards Li Lingling. You dare to scold me, Li Lingling? You've turned upside down. I'm your second sister. In law. You dare to scold me? In the past, the old Gu family had 3 daughters. In law, and the eldest daughter. In law didn't live with them. The second daughter. In law's teeth and claws are open. She doesn't keep the door open. She dares to say and do everything. She's a brainless man. Li Lingling, the third daughter. In law, has a brain and meets both sides. Even if she doesn't like Wei Meiqi, she never scolds her face to face. I'm really confused today. She tried to appease here, but she couldn't stand her voice here. That's good. Do you really want to go to the Public Security Bureau? Enough. Seeing that the 2 daughters. In law were about to fight together, Mrs. Gu stood up and drank. Li Lingling quickly hid behind Granny Gu. In public, she didn't want to fight with Wei Meiqi like a bitch. Mom, didn't you hear her scold me? Wei Meiqi thought that old lady Gu was partial to Li Lingling, and immediately shouted unconvinced. Li Lingling took a deep breath and said. Second sister. In law, I'm in a hurry. You don't see what's going on now. If those people are really anxious, we don't want to go home. Just your wooden sticks, who else do you want to hit? Wei Meiqi looked at the people outside who surrounded them and shouted. She was so frightened that she shrunk her neck. She was scared to say those words just now. In fact, she didn't dare. Old Lady Gu came over and glared at Wei Meiqi and asked, how do they know what's going on at home? She had listened for a while. At first, she thought that Gu Qiaoyue's family had deliberately spread the news to discredit them, but on second thought, she realized that it was wrong. These people have obviously seen Wei Meiqi's abuse. Maybe she has ruined the reputation of her old family once. Wei Meiqi's eyes flashed. I don't know. It must be the bitch Zhang Pei said, Binov calm looking at Wei Meiqi. Mrs. Gu has a bottom in her heart. I'm afraid what happened yesterday is not as simple as Wei Meiqi said. Old Lady Gu gave Wei Meiqi a cold look, got up and said sorry to those people outside who asked for a refund. I'm really sorry for you today. You see, you ate these things, and it's impossible to return them. We also know that our own cooking tastes bad, so it's cheaper than others. We really came out to make a living because our family was too poor. We will make good improvements in the future. We are really sorry. My second daughter Law didn't speak well. My old woman apologized to everyone on her behalf. I'm really sorry. Mrs. Gu wiped her tears and bowed to the crowd. Mrs. Gu is in her 60s and her face is covered with wrinkles. She looks like a man in her 70s. She cried and bowed and apologized, and there was a brief silence in the crowd. Many people outside took a look and turned away. Forget it, it's not easy to see you. Just think I'm unlucky. We're not asking for trouble. Haven't you eaten anything made by your own family? It's really not delicious. If your family can make do with it, it's okay, but at least it's sold. You're cheating. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Li Lingling has an eye and holds Old Lady Gu to apologize. These people didn't mean to find fault. They were really angry with Wei Meiqi just now. At this time, they didn't say anything to see an old man so old apologize. One by one, they thought they were unlucky and left. What remains in place is some who deliberately find fault. Li Lingling is also very likely to make trouble. Laughing and apologizing, she said. You see, I'm really sorry, elder brothers. Why don't we compensate you with a steamed bun? But you guys can't talk nonsense when you go out. It's not easy for us to operate on a small scale. Therefore, the last few people who found fault also took an extra vegetable steamed bun and left it alone. Gu Qiaoyue, while greeting familiar guests, paid attention to the situation of the old Gu family. Seeing Old Lady Gu and Li Lingling like this, she sneered in her heart. It's as like as two peas. Hashtag Happy New Year. Chapter 35. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In her previous life, Gu Qiaoyue was not as good as a pig and dog in her mother's house. She was bullied by her mother-in-law in her mother's house. Her husband doesn't give her money to work outside. She is struggling at home and has to be made difficult by her mother-in-law from time to time. She couldn't help but go to grandma, who taught her how to make cold skin rugamo. She went to set up a stall. After making money, the old Gu family was also greedy and set up a stall directly opposite her. However, the taste of their business was bad, and they were found fault with it, which almost opened a stall. At that time, Lao Gu and the smiling tiger Li Lingling came out to clean up the mess every time. Later Gu Qiaoyue smiled bitterly. She was really stupid at that time. She felt that as long as she paid for her family, she would be a member of the old family, and her father would be her father. Everything would be the same as when she was a child. She even taught them how to make cold skin and rugamo just because Mrs. Gu sold a few words of pity. It was agreed that she would set up a stall in the county and they would set up a stall in the town. What happened? After they learned it, they discredited her everywhere, said she was dissolute, and said that her cold skin and rugamo methods were stolen from them. Her reputation became worse and worse, and her business became worse and worse. Later, there was no way, and she went out to work. With a lot of hard work, I started little by little in a small electronic factory, from ordinary employees to monitor, section chief, workshop director and manager, and transferred to be sales manager and sales director. Zhang Yang and her mother-in-law's attitude towards her has gradually improved. After decades of struggle, I also bought a house with 3 bedrooms and 1 living room in Guangdong. But not making wedding clothes for others. The house had just been decorated. Before we could live in it, Zhang Yang and Xiao San pushed it downstairs together. Gu Qiaoyue looked up at the old Gu's house again. After such a fuss, the old family's business can't go on, and no one will sell them again. Several people glared at Xiaoyu, packed up the rest and left. Instead, Wei Meiqi shouted to come and smashed Gu Qiaoyue's stall, which was stopped by Li Lingling. However, because of the trouble of the old family, although those people feel that they have lost money in buying the old family's things. But no matter how bad things are, they are reluctant to throw them away and get together to eat. As a result, Gu Qiaoyue didn't sell half of it. Looking at the rest, Zhang Peipei sighed sadly. Gu Qiaoyue smiled. "Mom, it's okay. It'll be fine tomorrow. We'll take the rest to other places to sell, and it'll be sold out in a minute." Zhang Peipei nodded, and He Tsuanfang were busy cleaning up the stall. Gu Qiaoyue also helped. At this time, a voice suddenly sounded. "Are you going to close the stall now?" Hearing this sound, Gu Qiaoyue's body stiffened and his fists were tightly clenched together. She knew the owner of the voice even when it turned gray. "It's Zhang Yang." Gu Qiaoyue took a deep breath, turned back and looked at Zhang Yang coldly. "Yes, close the stall. Haven't you sold out yet? Do you have that set meal? Give me one too." Zhang Yang didn't seem to notice Gu Qiaoyue's coldness and said with a smile. When talking, he looked at Gu Qiaoyue without blinking. He just thought that the girl was really beautiful. It was Gu Changsheng's cousin. The so-called close water tower gets the moon first, and Gu Changsheng also said that he would help himself get her. "No. Yes. I'll get it for you now." Gu Qiaoyue's voice and Zhang Peipei and He Tsuanfang's voice sounded almost at the same time. Zhang Peipei and He Tsuanfang don't know Gu Qiaoyue and Zhang Yang's gratitude and resentment. They just think they are ordinary guests. Seeing Gu Qiaoyue say no, they quickly pull her away. "Yue, what's the matter with you? There are so many more. If you can sell a little, it's a little." He Tsuanfang lowered his voice. Gu Qiaoyue took a deep breath, nodded and didn't speak again. She's too impatient. Haven't she already thought about it and started over? What happened in the previous life has nothing to do with who you are now. Zhang Yang is a stranger as long as he doesn't provoke him. Gu Qiaoyue admonished herself like this. But she found that the anger in her heart could not be suppressed by reason at all. When she saw Zhang Yang, she wanted to beat him up. Where would she have a good face to show him? Gu Qiaoyue tried her best to calm herself down, and then continued to tidy up her things so as not to let her inner anger show. Zhang Yang has been looking at Gu Qiaoyue. Seeing that she ignores herself at this moment, he is a little worried. However, it is reasonable to say that he is in love. For example, at this moment, he saw that Gu Qiaoyue ignored herself and was not in a hurry to talk to Gu Qiaoyue. Instead, he smiled and talked to Zhang Peipei and He Tsuanfang. The 20-year-old boy is white and looks good with a good smile. In addition, he can talk and shout one ant at a time, which makes Zhang Peipei and He Tsuanfang have a good impression of him. Zhang Yang didn't talk to Gu Qiaoyue from beginning to end. He paid the money and left. When Zhang Yang left, Gu Qiaoyue packed up his things and said, "Well, let's hurry to sell elsewhere, otherwise we can't sell at all." Several people saw something wrong with Gu Qiaoyue, but they also thought she was popular with the old Gu family. I went to other streets and sold out the rest. It's just late. When I got home, it was completely dark. Wu Honglian and Gu Qiaowan waited anxiously at the intersection with Xiao Zhangshuo. They were relieved to see Gu Qiaoyue coming back from a distance. What's the matter today? Come back so late? Wu Honglian asked anxiously. He Cuanfang talked about what happened in the county today. Wu Honglian frowned when she heard this. She secretly hated that the old Gu's people were too bad. I'm hungry. The meal is ready. Go and have dinner. I'm really tired selling all the way today. I'll get up early tomorrow morning and go to bed after dinner. Gu Qiaoyue couldn't sleep. Her mind was full of things from her previous life. Unconsciously, the eyes are a little wet. After touching it, Gu Qiaoyue smiled bitterly. Sure enough, he was still unwilling. Since you are unwilling to let go of this knot, let's finish it with your own hands. When thinking about this, Gu Qiaoyue relaxed. In this life, she must strive to climb high, where they can't reach with any effort, and reach the point where one finger can crush them. Gu Qiaoyue thought of falling asleep. He went to bed too late and got up late the next day. When I got up, the pancakes and cold skin were ready. After breakfast, I could start. When I arrived at the stall, I didn't know what the old family thought. It came again. Chapter 36. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why are they here again? He Cuanfang muttered. With what happened yesterday, the old Gu family had only a few cheap people who bought it in the past and tasted it, and others didn't buy theirs. Some also pointed out to them and discussed the things done by old family members. But strangely, the old family care people have been indifferent, as if they don't care about business at all. Did they come here to block us? He Cuanfang didn't have such doubts alone, and Zhang Peipei almost thought so. Otherwise, I really can't explain what Lao Gu's family did today. After selling for a while, when the three factories passed the dinner point, the old family members closed the stall and left. Gu Qiaoyue calculated that from beginning to end, they sold less than 5 pancakes and 2 cold skins. It's like coming around specially and don't care about buying a few money. As soon as the old Gu family left, Zhang Yang came. I still want a set meal. I talked to Gu Qiaoyue today. It's a pity that Gu Qiaoyue hasn't paid attention to him. He was not impatient to talk to Zhang Peipei and He Cuanfang. Buy a meal, just 3 or 5 minutes, but he can always make them laugh. In the next 2 days, the old family still came every day and went back after selling a few. Zhang Yang also came every day, each time a set meal, threw down $1.30 and left. After Zhang Yang's unremitting efforts, Zhang Peipei and He Cuanfang also think the boy is very good. They also boast in front of Gu Qiao's moon from time to time. Gu Qiaoyue has been watching coldly. She wants to see what these people want to do. No matter what the old Gu family and Zhang Yang want to do, Gu Qiaoyue is not idle during this period. After walking around the county town, I finally decided to rent a shop on the main street. After the shop was sold out every day, Gu Qiaoyue also took Zhang Peipei and others to see it. They were very satisfied. The owner's family agreed on the price, 190 yuan a month, with a minimum of 1 payment a quarter. Because we have to rush to start school, we must rush to decorate now. After discussion, he directly paid the rent for 1 year and entrusted someone to find the decoration team. Zhang Hosheng also went to his classmates and agreed on Gu Qiaowan's transfer. Of course, the exam is still essential. Gu Qiaowan will be arranged to take the exam at the beginning of school. After passing the exam, you can go to school in number 1 middle school. Zhang Peipei and others were relieved to open a shop and transfer to another school. It's not a good thing for the old Gu family to sell cold skins there every day. Except for the first day when the old Gu family set up a stall, it affected the business of Gu Qiaoyue's family. After that, it had no impact. They can only watch Gu Qiaoyue's business prosper every day and sulk alone. As soon as I came back that day, I saw that Wu Honglian and Gu Qiaowan looked very bad. What's the matter? Zhang Peipei asked, worried and thought something had happened at home. Gu Qiaowan looked up at Zhang Peipei and went to see Xiao Yu again. Mom, sister, those old Gu people talk nonsense. They all say that sister is hanging out with other men and that she has a nose and eyes. Is there such a thing? Zhang Peipei clenched his fist angrily. She almost had a bad reputation. Now someone put his hand in front of her daughter. It's too much deception. Mom, do you know a man named Zhang Yang? They all say that a man named Zhang Yang has a crush on his sister and goes to see her every day. What they say is ugly. They also say that his sister and Zhang Yang have long privately decided to spend their lives. Speaking of Zhang Yang, Zhang Peipei and He Tsuanfang looked at each other. These days they also see that Zhang Yang really seems to like Gu Qiaoyue, but Gu Qiaoyue hasn't seen him from beginning to end. Why did these words come out? Because of this, the whole family was not in high spirits at night. In the evening, Zhang Peipei talked to Gu Qiaoyue. Xiao Yu, you may like Zhang Yang very much. What do you think? Zhang Peipei and He Tsuanfang have discussed it. They think Zhang Yang is a good man. If Gu Qiaoyue wants to, they can try to communicate. If they communicate normally, they can block the mouths of those people outside. Gu Qiaoyue is also 17. He has been dating for several years. If it's appropriate, it's not too early to get married. Gu Qiaoyue frowned fiercely, looked at Zhang Peipei and asked, Mom, do you really think that Zhang Yang is very good? Zhang Peipei didn't speak. Gu Qiaoyue sighed and said, Mom, Zhang Yang's mind is not right. You and Kuzi should be more careful. Don't be cheated by him. Whether Zhang Yang is evil or not, Gu Qiaoyue can't understand. Zhang Peipei glanced at Gu Qiaoyue and said helplessly. You child, how can you say that others have evil intentions? Forget it. If you don't like it, avoid it these days. Your wife and I are busy. Don't go these days. She just thought that Gu Qiaoyue didn't like Zhang Yang. Since her daughter didn't like it, that's all. Gu Qiaoyue nodded and didn't say anything more. She wondered whether it was the old Gu's family or the old Gu's people and Zhang Yang. And in previous lives, after she married Zhang Yang, Zhang Yang's mother always said that she took a lot of betrothal gifts from his family, but didn't give a dowry. At that time, she wondered that she and Zhang Yang were in free love, and Zhang Yang didn't give bride price at all, or is it actually a bride price, but you don't know. That's why Zhang Yang has always hated himself. Hatefully, in her previous life, she had been bullied by her old family and dared not even ask the truth. The next day, Gu Qiaoyue didn't go to the county. Zhang Peipei and He Tsuanfang thought they could avoid Zhang Yang, but at noon, Zhang Yang went directly to Gu Qiaoyue's house. When you meet someone in Rongshu village, ask where Gu Qiaoyue's home is. So, half the village knew that a young man was looking for Gu Qiaoyue. Gu Qiaoyue was tutoring Gu Qiaowan in her homework. When she heard Zhang Yang's voice, she frowned fiercely. When I came out, I saw Zhang Yang standing at the door with a big bag of gifts. There were many spectators outside. What are you doing here? Gu Qiaoyue said coldly, her eyes full of disgust. Aunt said you were ill. I came to see you. How is it? Is it serious? Zhang Yang said softly and looked at Gu Qiaoyue affectionately. Gu Qiaoyue frowned fiercely and glanced at those gossip people outside. There was a trace of impatience in her eyes. You can see it now. You can go. You are not welcome in my family. Gu Qiaoyue said coldly and closed the door. Gu Qiaowan came out to look at Gu Qiaoyue and asked, Sister, is that Zhang Yang? Yes. Gu Qiaoyue nodded faintly, go into the house and continue to talk. Gu Qiaowan keeps up. Zhang Yang ran into a wall outside Ben. It was time to go. As a result, the guy was silent for a while and roared outside. Gu Qiaoyue, I like you. I want to be with you. Chapter 37. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With the sound of Zhang Yang, there was a whistling sound outside. Gu Qiaoyue's eyes were cold, his fist hit the table, and his whole body was cold. Gu Qiaowan looked at his sister quietly, bowed her head and didn't dare to speak. Outside, Zhang Yang's voice rang again. Gu Qiaoyue, I really like you. I like you from the first sight. Can you be with me? Wu Honglian, who took care of little Zhang Shua in another house, also came out. She took a look at Gu Qiaoyue's house, frowned and said, Qiaoyue, I'll go out and send it off. In this way, I came to the door to confess that if I put it in a few decades later, it is a trend and a manifestation of true love. But now it was deliberately discrediting the girl's family. Wu Honglian was about to open the door and go out. Gu Qiaoyue suddenly stood up, smiled at Wu Honglian and said, Grandma, I'll deal with it myself. Gu Qiaoyue smiled gently, but the smile didn't reach the bottom of his eyes, and his tone was cold. The whole person seemed to be cold. Wu Honglian looked at Xiao Yu, thought about it, nodded and went into the house. Young people's affairs should be solved by themselves. She really shouldn't interfere more. Gu Qiaoyue looked at the closed door, sneered, took the lintel behind the door, opened the door and went out. Seeing Gu Qiaoyue coming out, Zhang Yang's eyes lit up and immediately greeted him. Happy Wei. Gu Qiaoyue, you are finally willing to come out to see me. I like you. I have been fascinated by you since I first saw you. This is the love letter I wrote to you. In addition, this is the flowers I bought and this biscuit, which is also for you. Zhang Yang said and sent a large bag of things he carried to Gu Qiaoyue. Gu Qiaoyue glanced at him coldly, sent him forward and sneered. Zhang Yang, do you like me? Well, I've loved you since I first saw you. Zhang Yang can't wait to confess. Gu Qiaoyue interrupted him with a sneer. But I heard you've made 5 girlfriends, and one has miscarried for you. Zhang Yang suddenly jumped in his heart and opened his mouth and said, How do you know? As soon as he finished speaking, he realized that he had said something wrong and hurriedly said. It's all nonsense from people outside. I didn't. Gu Qiaoyue listened to him impatiently and said directly, How do I know? Haha, naturally someone told me. Gu Qiaoyue said coldly. Without waiting for him to speak, he picked up his head and suddenly hit Zhang Yang. Zhang Yang was so frightened that he ran away. Gu Qiaoyue, I like you. How can you? Yes, I know you like me, but if you like me, you must show some sincerity. You see you running around like this. You don't like my sincerity at all. Zhang Yang was stunned. Really? Gu Qiaoyue sneered, Of course, otherwise you think I'll really hit you. Then she had a drink. Zhang Yang, stop. Zhang Yang suddenly stopped. Gu Qiaoyue smashed his head on his back. Zhang Yang was beaten and lay on the ground directly. His things were scattered on the ground. He was about to speak, but Gu Qiaoyue didn't give him a chance. Gu Qiaoyue sneered and said, You like me, right? This is for you to like me. Then he hit his head again. This is for you to destroy my reputation. This one is for you to make my mother worry about me. This is for you to make my grandmother worry about me. This one. Gu Qiaoyue hit 6 or 7 times. What she held in her hand was a wooden head used to dig in the countryside. It was solid and heavy. Otherwise Gu Qiaoyue won't be out of breath after waving 6,000 times. Zhang Yang was beaten and lay on the ground for a long time. He couldn't get up. He was so painful that he sweated cold on his face and screamed to Gu Qiaoyue not to fight. Hearing the news, Wu Honglian and Gu Qiaowan also ran out. I was startled at the sight in front of me. They didn't expect that Gu Qiaoyue's idea of her coming to solve was such a solution. Moon, stop. After Wu Honglian was frightened, she quickly shouted and robbed Gu Qiaoyue. You child, can't you say it well? Why do you beat people? Gu Qiaoyue smiled at Wu Honglian and said, it's okay. I'm just testing whether he really likes me. Wu Honglian twitched at the corners of her mouth and glared at Gu Qiaoyue. He walked over and looked at Zhang Yang, who was lying motionless on the ground. He was worried that he would not be killed if he didn't move. Zhang Yang is really afraid, and he can't stand up because of the pain. Seeing Wu Honglian coming, he subconsciously opened his mouth and scolded. Gu Qiaoyue came over, kicked Zhang Yang on the shoulder and said coldly. Can't get up yet. I don't use much energy. Seeing Zhang Yang open his mouth, Gu Qiaoyue kicked him again. Still want to swear? Don't you like me? That's my grandmother. Dare you scold my grandmother? At the moment, Zhang Yang wants to vomit blood and faint. However, although his back hurts badly, he can't faint. I can't get up yet, can I? Gu Qiaoyue kicked Zhang Yang on the shoulder again. Moon. Wu Honglian was terrified by Gu Qiaoyue today. She was afraid that she would really hurt people. She shouted and pulled her away. Sister, stop fighting. Gu Qiaowan also hurriedly pulled Gu Qiaoyue, for fear that she would really hit people for good or bad. Wu Honglian went over, helped Zhang Yang up, and said earnestly. Young man, if I don't say you, I can't blame my girl for beating you angrily. You say you like people, but you don't like the law. It's not well known. You don't like my girl. You're trying to discredit my girl. Seriously, if my family doesn't hit you, my old woman wants to hit you. You are doing something wrong. Well, don't stay at my house. Pack up your things and go back. Don't come again. Wu Honglian's words made Zhang Yang almost spit blood again. Gu Qiaoyue's eyes were wide open. She thought her grandmother wasn't going to apologize to Zhang Yang. Unexpectedly, it was ha ha ha, Gu Qiaoyue laughed in her heart. She really wanted to stand up and shout, Grandma is powerful. Some of the onlookers can't see it anymore, and they all sigh. It is said that the people of the old Zhang family in Shilin village protect the calf. It's not surprising. Look at the old lady. Her granddaughter beat someone and blamed all her mistakes on the beaten person, as if her granddaughter was not at all wrong. Wu Honglian personally picked up the things that had fallen all over the ground and handed them to Zhang Yang. Well, young man, hurry back and don't make a fool of yourself here. Hashtag recommend Gio's article, Rebirth 80. The Tough Life of Your Daughter. In law. If you like Sherwin, you can go and have a look. If you made a mistake in your previous life, you will regret it all your life. Live a new life, Wu Shaoqing vowed to hold on to the military brother. Brother Jun, can I make friends with you? No, Brother Jun refused seriously. Why? Brother Jun leaned close to her ear and said, Wu Shaoqing, either be my wife, or the well water will not invade the river. Do you have no choice? Yes, you can choose to marry me today or tomorrow. Wu Shaoqing was shy. I'll choose tomorrow. As soon as he finished, the man was carried up. Chapter 38. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Poof, Gu Qiaoyue couldn't bear it and smiled directly. Zhang Yang, with a dark face, looked up at Gu Qiaoyue, looked at the head of Gu Qiaoyue's hand, shrunk his neck, and said with hatred. I'm blind. I like you so much. Gu Qiaoyue slammed her head on the ground and said fiercely. Who are you talking about? Can you say it again? Zhang Yang thought Gu Qiaoyue would hit him again. He dared to stay more. He got up and ran away with his things. It's like a wolf chasing him. The thief runs fast. Gu Qiaoyue coldly looked at Zhang Yang's running direction and sneered. As soon as he was about to speak, he quickly silenced Wu Honglian's staring eyes and said with a flattering smile. Grandma. Wu Honglian glared at Gu Qiaoyue and shouted, "Come in. I thought Yue was a sensible girl, but I never thought why is the child so angry. If he doesn't agree, he will hit someone. How can he get it in the future?" She wondered if Gu Qiaoyue had been stimulated. Moreover, the most important thing is that with today's events, rumors about Gu Qiaoyue's beating people today will certainly spread outside in 2 days. It is estimated that there are all kinds of ugly things. Gu Qiaoyue stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, "Okay. But, Grandma, let me say a few words first and go in right away." Gu Qiaoyue didn't wait for Wu Honglian to promise. He hit his head on the ground and looked at the people who hadn't left. Chapter 39. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gu Changxing hid for a while and saw that Zhang Yang stayed at his door. He was worried and didn't know what to do. At this time, old lady Gu, Wei Meiqi and Li Lingling who went to the county came back. Gu Changxing saw that their eyes lit up and quickly welcomed them and said today's thing again. When old lady Gu heard that Gu Qiaoyue beat Zhang Yang, she was angry and immediately went to Gu Qiaoyue's house to find trouble. Li Lingling quickly stopped her. "Mom, the most important thing now is not to find Gu Qiaoyue's trouble, but to think about how to appease Zhang Yang. If he doesn't want Gu Qiaoyue's girl, what we discussed before will come to naught." Gu Changxing also said. "Yes, Zhang Yang is still at our door. I don't know how to explain it to others." Old lady Gu frowned mercilessly, scolded Gu Qiaoyue mercilessly in her heart, and thought about how to solve the current thing. Wei Meiqi couldn't think so much, so she shouted, "He took a fancy to Gu Qiaoyue. Being beaten is none of our business. Let's coax him." The second family. Old lady Guli drank and slapped Wei Meiqi. "In the past, I only felt that the second daughter-in-law's mouth was broken, but she was still filial. At least she had a good stomach and gave birth to 2 sons to the old Gu family. However, recent events happened one after another, which made her suddenly feel that the second daughter-in-law really couldn't be on the table at all. She didn't have a brain." Seeing that Mrs. Gu wanted to beat herself, Wei Meiqi quickly dodged, stared at Mrs. Gu and said, "Mom, we talked about Zhang Yang and Gu Qiaoyue. Why did you hit me?" Old lady Gu scolded with a dark face. "It's like when I hit you. Look what you say. Don't talk if you can't speak. Just shut up. No one thinks you're dumb." Li Lingling also said. "Second sister-in-law, we are thinking about how to solve things. If you can't think of a way, don't make trouble here. It's just to be preached by Mrs. Gu, but she has been preached by Li Lingling frequently these 2 days. Wei Meiqi's heart is not strong. She will scold Li Lingling when she opens her mouth." But he was pulled by his son. Dissatisfied, he said, "Mom, we're all anxious to find a way. Don't make trouble." Gu Changxing's voice really hurt Wei Meiqi's heart. She looked at Gu Changxing with a red face and said unimaginably, "Boss, even you say that about me. I'm your mother. Do you just despise your mother?" Gu Changxing frowned fiercely, very impatient. He was still thinking about how to repair his relationship with Zhang Yang. His mother not only didn't help, but also made trouble. "Mom, just say a few words. You're busy." Wei Meiqi can't think of so much except for being noisy. At present, she is despised and taught by her own son. Where can she calm down? "Well, you all dislike me, don't you? Since you all dislike me and this family doesn't need me, I'll go back to my mother's house." Wei Meiqi got angry and didn't go home. She turned around and left. Li Lingling sneered twice in her heart. She didn't speak, and she didn't mean to stay. Mrs. Gu frowned and said, "The second daughter-in-law doesn't keep the door open. Let her go back to her mother's house these days. Don't mix things up." Gu Changxing didn't say anything. Speaking of going back to her mother's house, Wei Meiqi was angry and didn't intend to really go back, but no one asked her to stay now. She couldn't save face and had to go back to her mother's house. Mrs. Gu discussed the countermeasures and went back together. Seeing Zhang Yang, Gu Changxing greeted him and asked suspiciously, "Zhang Yang, why are you here? Didn't you go to Gu Qiaoyue?" Gu Changxing suddenly screamed, pointed to Zhang Yang's back and said in surprise, "Oh, Zhang Yang, how did you get your back and hurt so badly?" Zhang Yang glared at Gu Changxing. He lost such a big man in Rongshu village. He didn't believe Gu Changxing didn't know. This guy doesn't mean to laugh at himself. Just listen to Gu Changxing's approach. "You see, I don't know what happened to you. If you want to know, I'll go with you. I'll send you to Rongshu village and I'll pick up my grandmother. What's the matter with you? Walk, go in and say." Zhang Yang looked at Gu Changxing suspiciously for a while. He wanted to see the traces of lying on his face, but he couldn't see anything. Mrs. Gu also came over and said, "Prosperity, is this your friend? Why did you pick me up when your friend came home?" "Yes, Grandma, this is my classmate Zhang Yang. It's a close relationship." Gu Changxing took Zhang Yang's shoulder and walked home. Hearing what Mrs. Gu said, Zhang Yang believed Gu Changxing's words in his heart. Mrs. Gu said on the side, "It's Zhang Yang. Changxing always talks about you. He said he had the best relationship with you and asked you to come home. Prosperity is good for everything, but it's too filial. Look, my old woman is going to set up a stall to earn some pocket money. He has to pick me up. I can't walk anymore. Ha ha." As soon as the two sang together, Zhang Yang's doubts soon disappeared. Gu Changxing asked what happened to his back, and Zhang Yang was embarrassed to say. Mrs. Gu said, "When I came to the village just now, I heard that the girl in my family hit someone. Is it you? I'm really sorry. The girl in my family is actually a good girl, just. Alas, in fact, the girl is also a hard life. Her mother stole someone and divorced her father. The girl is not stable these 2 days. When she sees a man, she thinks it's the man her mother stole. She's angry." Mrs. Gu talked endlessly, talking about people with eyes and noses. People who didn't know could really believe it immediately. After all, who would have thought that at such an old age, you could lie so smoothly? Zhang Yang also believed it, but he heard some gossip in the county these days, and he still had some doubts. "Not her father," Zhang Yang said, thinking that Gu Qiaoyue's father was Gu Laotai's son. He stopped and didn't say anything. Mrs. Gu sighed, shook her head and said, "My son is also kind-hearted. He thinks it's not easy for Zhang Peipei to divorce a woman, so he takes all his mistakes on himself. Alas! Those people of Lao Zhang's family are overbearing. We always take care of our family's weak power and can't fight. Fortunately, Yue is a good girl. She knows that her mother is wrong. Her parents have to follow her father when they divorce. It's a pity. Alas, it's a pity that old Zhang's people are too overbearing. Zhang Peipei has to leave his 2 daughters beside him if he can't have a son. Now the girl who still hurts Yue is stimulated." Chapter 40. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Mrs. Gu said, wiping 2 more tears. Li Lingling looked at the side with red eyes to comfort. "Mom, stop talking. Since uncle wants to carry the black pot, let's stop talking. Good people deserve good returns. God is watching from heaven." Here, the two said and acted with snot and tears. Zhang Yang doubted for a while and believed it. He also met the people of Lao Zhang's family. That old woman is really unreasonable. It was Gu Qiaoyue who beat him. She also told Gu Qiaoyue that he was disgraced. With this in mind, Zhang Yang became more convinced of what Granny Gu said. Gu Changxing took the opportunity to say, "Zhang Yang, I know you like my sister. It happens that my sister also has this disease. I think you have the best way to coax a woman. Coax my sister. Maybe she'll be well. Who can think? Alas, it's all my fault. Unexpectedly. Zhang Yang, you won't blame me. Just like a good brother thinking of his sister, I don't know how much he cares about Gu Qiaoyue. Zhang Yang quickly shook his head. It's all right. You said Gu Qiaoyue was really just stimulated. Can it be good? What he cares about most now is this problem. Otherwise, no matter how good he looks, he will be excited again, but he won't dare to go crazy if he doesn't move. Gu Changsheng and Mrs. Gu looked at each other and knew that it had become 9 times out of 10. Gu Changsheng quickly patted his chest and assured him. How could it be better? It's just that she can't accept it for the moment. If a man comforts her, she will be well soon. It's a pity that these people are afraid of her. Mrs. Gu also cried and wiped her tears. Alas, my poor Moon, she used to be so obedient and sensible. It was all caused by Lao Zhang's family. Zhang Yang was more determined when he heard this. If he saved Gu Qiaoyue, wouldn't she follow him more wholeheartedly? I didn't expect her to be so poor. Grandma and brother, don't worry. I won't care. If you don't worry about me, please give me the moon. I will treat her well and I can untie her heart knot. Mrs. Gu and the 3 looked at each other again. They were happy and knew that it had been done. Granny Gu looked at Zhang Yang in surprise and said happily. Do you really want to? She may hit people again. But don't worry, she has been stimulated recently and will get better in the future. Zhang Yang touched the wound on his back and bared his teeth in pain. Hesitated for a moment, but soon thought of Gu Qiaoyue's good-looking handsome face, and then thought of the way she looked in bed, so she nodded more firmly. Grandma, don't worry. I really like Yue. Please help Grandma. Mrs. Gu smiled happily. Qingquan, of course Qingquan. It's her blessing that Yue likes people like you. However, after all, Yue's mood is not very stable now. We have to discuss this well and find a perfect way to let her accept you. Yes, discuss it well. Zhang Yang nodded repeatedly. He wanted to get rid of Gu Qiaoyue, but he didn't want to be beaten again. After the discussion, Mrs. Gu looked at the sadness behind Zhang Yang and said with worry. Don't worry about your injury. Go back and your mother will ask. What do you want to say? Having agreed on something, Zhang Yang thought that he would soon be able to take care of Qiao Yufangzi. Where did he take this injury to heart? Then he shook his head and said carelessly. It's all right. When I go back, I say I fell on my bike. I won't let people know that it was Yue. That's good. Let Changsheng send you to the clinic to take some medicine. Mrs. Gu said kindly, just like a good grandmother. Gu Changsheng sent Zhang Yang to the health center, took medicine, and sent him back by the way. Along the way, Zhang Yang looked very excited. Gu Changsheng is also excited. Although things don't develop as he thought before, it's good to do so. Wait for them to cook rice and then talk about marriage at that time, even if Zhang Yang's mother disagrees, so many people see that they must agree in order to save face. According to Zhang Yang's disgust with Lao Zhang's family, the bride price will certainly not be given to Zhang Peipei. When the bride price arrives, Gu Qiaoyue is disgusted by Zhang Yang's mother. Soon, Zhang Yang's freshness has passed, and Gu Qiaoyue must be abandoned. As for Gu Qiaoyue, a woman, if something like this happens, who else can she follow besides this man? Gu Changsheng sneered twice and said, Zhang Yang, you're going to get married. What about the bride price? After all, it's the granddaughter of our old Gu family. If it's not handled well, it won't look good on both your family and ours. It's easy to say. Just convince my mother. Zhang Yang didn't think so far. Now he is full of things about getting Gu Qiaoyue. That's good. After all, Yue is a girl from our family. If there are too few betrothal gifts, I'm afraid the villagers will say. If Lao Zhang's people make trouble again at that time. Alas, Lao Zhang's people are really overbearing. Zhang Yang nodded again and again. What you said is that when it's done, these won't be a problem. At least this number. Zhang Yang stretched out 2 fingers. 1,000. Gu Changsheng was delighted. As you know, my family has a little savings. 1,000 won't be a problem. Zhang Yang said proudly that among these students, his family has the best conditions, so he can take out so much money when he marries his daughter. In law. Gu Changsheng nodded excitedly. It was 1,000. Unexpectedly, Gu Qiaoyue was so valuable. If you succeed this time, Gu Qiaowan is not bad. Find another rich man. It must be worth a lot of money. Send Zhang Yang back. Gu Changsheng counts the bride price, Zhang Yang said when he comes home. The people of the old Gu family are more excited. Old Lady Gu's eyes were shining and said excitedly. Prosperity, this should be done sooner rather than later. It's better to discuss with Zhang Yang for a day. I'll call your father and your third uncle back and discuss a constitution. Okay, I'll stare at Gu Qiaoyue and rob her when she goes to the county again. Well, as soon as possible, as soon as possible. Also, we must not let the dead girl find any clues. When it was done, there was 1,000 yuan, and the old family members were very excited. From this day on, Gu Changsheng stared at Gu Qiaoyue's house. Gu Qiaoyue doesn't have to set up a stall in the county city these days. She reviews Gu Qiaowan every day. She has stayed at home for several days and is a little bored. That day, Zhang Peipei came back and said that President Xi had come once and that his uncle would invite Gu Qiaoyue and others to his house.